Chapter 7, Step 4, Goal-Free Zones and Goal Replacement Surgery. Many people are climbing a ladder of success that's leaning against the wrong wall. Stephen Covey. I recently attended a business conference with 200 ridiculously high achievers. These were the alpha dogs of business. I'd never been in a room with so many multimillionaires. You would have recognized many of the attendees from their television appearances and other business ventures. Each of us paid $10,000 to attend, so the bar was pretty high just to get in the door. Yet even at this level of financial overachievement, I was shocked to see how often it came up that the people in the room were still holding themselves back from their full potential. For example, one entrepreneur I spoke with makes over $20 million a year. He told me that when he started to make it really big, he also started to feel afraid because nothing like this had ever happened to him. Remember your familiar zone? So he started to sabotage himself. But the most amazing part was he could see it happening and still couldn't stop it. He said it was like being in a train and the train was going over the precipice and he was helpless to prevent it. He told me that he lost about $170,000 in 1 week simply because he didn't know how to let himself succeed. He finally said to me, "Too bad I didn't have your system then, because if I had done what you teach, I could have saved all that money." Set your goals right. In traditional success programs, the very first thing they told us to do was set your goals. This step deals with that age-old question, so how come I keep setting my goals and keep not reaching them? As you've noticed by now, this system turns traditional success literature on its head. The reason we set goals and don't reach them doesn't mean we're not good enough, not smart enough, or not capable enough to get what we want. The reason we don't reach our goals is threefold. 1. We're going after something we don't really want. 2. Our goals are impossible, outdated, or unrealistic. 3. We haven't given ourselves permission to stop setting goals. Your negative reflection is always going to tell you that you're not good enough. Ironically, it's trying to protect you, because if you believe you're not good enough, then you won't try, so you won't fail. That's why the best way to overcome your negative reflection is to do the steps of this system. We know from physics that a body in motion tends to stay in motion. When a rocket ship leaves Earth, it must first overcome gravity, and secondly, break through the atmosphere. It's just like that with our lives. Our habits are like gravity, and that's what we're used to doing. We're used to thinking, "I can't do it. I'm not good enough." And we're probably not used to asking for help or accepting support from other people, or thinking there could be another way to live. Our environment is like the atmosphere. That's where we exist. Being used to a certain environment is why even highly successful people may have to work at letting themselves succeed at higher and higher levels. That's what this system is all about. You don't have to make any more expensive mistakes. Instead, learn from my mistakes and from the mistakes of others and simply let yourself succeed. Goal-free zones. What is a goal-free zone? A goal-free zone is a time and place where you give yourself permission to stop setting goals. Why is this the next step to enjoying more wealth and happiness? 1. To avoid burnout. 2. To get it that your worth doesn't come from your achievements. 3. To reduce the effects of information overload. 4. To reconnect with your authentic self. Ironically, to be happy and rich, you need to give yourself permission to unplug from work. Scientific studies have found that human beings perform best in spurts of 90 to 120 minutes. Therefore, if you want to perform at your best, you must have times in your day when you unplug from work-related activities. You'll not only avoid burnout, You'll be better able to fully engage when you do go back to work. The second reason to use goal-free zones is because you need to understand that your worth does not come from your achievements. Many people subconsciously believe that they're only worthwhile when they achieve something or win awards or have lots of money. You need to truly realize that your worth does not come from your achievements. Your worth just is. To truly believe that is the second reason to give yourself goal-free zones. The third reason you need goal-free zones is to avoid the effects of information overload. While we can't stop the crush of information from email, cell phones, crackberries, and every other electronic device known to man, we can at least limit it. The problem is, many people never unplug from all this noise, and the human organism was not designed to handle this kind of non-stop stimulus. That's one reason so many people feel stressed out, burned out, in poor health, and have poor eating habits and a host of other health problems. Fourth, when you do goal-free zones, it allows you to reconnect with your authentic self, that still small voice that is the voice of your intuition. Have you ever noticed that your best ideas do not come at work? They come when you're relaxing. They might come when you're jogging, journaling, praying, meditating, or in the shower. That's what happened to me with affirmations. Your mind is most receptive to ideas from the nonlinear part of you at those relaxed times, and that's another reason to use goal-free zones. Oh, and the fifth reason? They're a lot more fun than working all the time. If you keep your nose to the grindstone too long, eventually you'll have no nose. Exercise. Using goal-free zones. 1. What are my favorite goal-free zone activities? 2. When do I enjoy doing them? 3. What negative beliefs do I have about doing goal-free zones? 4. When are these beliefs not true? 5. What will happen if I don't use goal-free zones? Goal-free zones questions 1 and 2. What are my favorite goal-free zone activities and when do I enjoy doing them? What do you like to do when you unplug from work? Maybe you enjoy meditating, journaling, walking, bicycling, jogging, exercising, or just napping. I would suggest not listing watching TV because I want you to be literally unplugged. When you watch TV, although it may be mindless, it's not truly rejuvenating. You usually don't feel refreshed after watching TV. Instead, you mostly feel dead because you haven't engaged your mind and certainly haven't gotten in touch with who you really are. TV is not designed to do that. Its purpose is to get you to buy stuff. Start by determining the activities you will do, and then plug in the different times for each of the different activities. You don't have to have 15 different activities you do every day that would defeat the purpose and just get you more stressed. Just be sure you choose options that appeal to you. For example, my favorite goal-free zone is napping. To write this book, for instance, I had a routine of writing for 90 minutes and then taking a 15-minute nap. Then I'd come back to writing, feeling refreshed and ready to go. Sometimes I'd go for a walk and enjoy the sunshine, and suddenly an idea would pop into my head. But usually those kind of creative ideas would not occur to me as I was sitting here writing. It took the active process of getting away from my writing to allow my creative intuition to kick in and let itself be heard. You might only choose a few activities that you really enjoy, and that's all you need for your goal-free zones. If you only do a few activities to rejuvenate and renew, as well as give yourself permission to unplug every 90 minutes, you will be ahead of all the people who are totally stressed out. We see health problems every day, such as obesity, stress, and burnout, and we just accept them as normal. They may be normal in today's society, but they're certainly not natural in terms of what makes us happy and successful. Remember, the purpose of this system is to help you be happy and rich. The bottom line is, if you want to be rich, you cannot be normal. The The people making millions every year are not normal, because by definition, normal equals not very successful. Is the majority of the population happy and rich? Nope. Therefore, if you want to be happy and rich, you must do things that normal people either don't or won't do. The great news is, leaving normal means you don't have to do what most people do, which is spend most of their lives broke and miserable. If people give you a hard time, remember this great quote: I may be weird, but you're broke. Goal-free zone question 3. What negative beliefs do I have about doing goal-free zones? I can hear you now. I don't have the time. I don't have the money. I don't have the energy. Sound familiar? How about this one? I can't afford it. I don't deserve it. My father taught me to work hard. My boss will never let me do this. I don't have any time because of the kids. Whatever your beliefs are, write them down. Goal-free zone question 4. When are these beliefs not true? When is it a lie that I don't have the time? Only every day. Everyone on earth gets the same 24 hours each day. Even Warren Buffett can't stop the earth's rotation, although I hear he and Bill are still working on that. You make time for the things that are truly important, whether or not you're doing it consciously. But don't lie to yourself and say that you don't have the time. I can hear you saying, but Noah, you don't understand. I'm busy doing a million other things. I've got all these other responsibilities. No kidding. That's exactly what we're talking about. I just want you to understand that when you say that you don't have time, you are lying to yourself. Remember, what needs to get done gets done. Do you recall our example of your best friend in the hospital? You got there, even though go to hospital wasn't on your to-do list. The point is, when doing something becomes a priority for you, you find a way to make it happen. That is the ultimate expression of your why to's and why not to's. When something is important enough to you, you find a way no matter what the cost. What I'm doing here is exposing your negative reflection. You may say to me, Noah, I don't have the time to do this. That, as we just seen, is a lie. But you could say to me, Noah, I haven't made this a priority in my life. Now that statement is accurate. If you're not taking goal-free zones, you have simply not made it a priority in your life yet. Once you realize that, you can start to live on the level of conscious choice, not subconscious no choice. What about the excuse of, I don't have the money? How much money does it take to meditate, to journal, to walk in nature, to get up from your computer? Do you have to pay somebody $50 every time you meditate or get up? If so, I'm not sure where you're working, but you might want to check the medical plan. How about reading a book? Go to the library. It's free. See, I can take away all of your excuses. You might not like me when I do this because your negative reflection, which you think is you, is running out of excuses. If nothing else, remember this. If you want to be happy and rich, do what happy, rich people do. Either that, or you can sit there hoping a genie comes out of a bottle or a bag of gold falls from the sky. Let me know how that works out for you. Goal-free zone question 5. What will happen if I don't use goal-free zones? Remember your why to's and why not to's. Pain is a great motivator. If you realize that if you don't do goal-free zones, you're going to experience a whole lot of pain. That may motivate you to do them. If you keep doing what you're doing, you'll keep getting what you've been getting. My experience working with countless thousands at my seminars and mentorship programs has nailed into my cranium one simple and annoying fact: there are no shortcuts. This might rub some people the wrong way, but what I'm hoping to show you is that I truly want you to succeed. If you came to this course telling me, I want to be rich and happy, and you were currently broke and miserable, then I told you that you're doing fine and just keep doing what you're doing, I would be doing you a great disservice, wouldn't I? It would be like being overweight, hiring a personal trainer, having him come to your house, and when he got there, having him say, "Oh, you don't need to work out, you're fine." Sure, we'd like to hear that, and we'd like to believe we don't have to change to get the things we want. But the truth is, we do need to do those sit-ups and those push-ups if we want to get in physical shape. My job is to get you in fiscal as well as physical shape. Gain support. Dump excuses. The next exercise is called gaining support for goal-free zones. People say, "No, I can't do this. I don't understand. You don't understand. I've got kids, my job, my boss who doesn't understand me." Yeah, I've heard this about 1,000,000 times. So let's gain support and dump excuses. Below, I want you to list the individual goal-free zone activities that you want to do, what you're saying is stopping you from doing them, who you need support from to do them, and what form you'd like that support to take. Let's look at an example. Let's say you'd like to take more walks in nature. That's a goal-free zone activity. What's stopping you? Perhaps the belief that you don't have time. I've got the kids. I've got meals to cook. I've got a business to run. I've got 1,000,000 other things I need to take care of. Maybe you're saying, "Noah, you just don't understand my life." Fine, write it down. Who do you need support from? To actually do these goal-free zones, if you're honest, you could say that you need support from your spouse to help you create more free time in your day. What about your kids? Maybe they can help with the laundry, cooking, cleaning, or other housework. You shouldn't be trying to do it all by yourself. Maybe if you don't have children or they are too young to help you, a housekeeper could come in twice a month or once a week to help. If you can't afford a housekeeper, maybe you could barter something with a friend. What if you started to think like a rich, happy person? What would they do? Exercise, gaining support for goal-free zones. GFZ activity, category 1. What's stopping me from doing it? Another column. Who I need support from? Third column. What form I'd like that support to take? Last column. You can pay a person with something other than money. Money is just one form of barter. Find something. Ask yourself, what form do I need that support to take? For the housekeeper example, you might need them to come in and clean or cook. Using a personal example, I needed help with administrative duties, which meant that I needed an assistant. I made the list of tasks, duties, and responsibilities I needed someone to do, then asked my friends who they knew who might be able to help me. I placed ads online and kept asking. Within a matter of days, a friend found the perfect assistant for me, but only because I kept asking and followed my own system. How to not change your life. I hate to be this obvious, but if you're telling me that you want to be rich and happy, then start doing what rich, happy people do. Rich, happy people are not any smarter than you. Trust me, I've met lots of them. They're very average people, no more hardworking or intelligent or charming than anyone else. The essential difference between them and 97% of the world's population is that rich, happy people have developed the skills of being rich and happy. How's that for a major duh? The fact remains that you can be rich and happy too, but you can't sit there with your excuses. Keep doing what you've always done and wonder why you're not rich and happy. Most people are running harder and harder just to get the same results or less. Happy, successful people know how to get the most out of every day because they have become experts at managing their sources of energy. We have 4 sources of personal energy: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. Our physical energy is our quantity of energy, or how much energy we have at any given time. Our emotional energy is the quality of our energy, or how we express that energy in a given time period. Our mental energy means our ability to focus on a task for a period of time. And our spiritual energy relates to our sense of being or purpose on earth. There are two things we can do with our personal energy: spend it and renew it. Most of us are great at spending our energy and horrible at renewing it. Managing your sources of energy means letting yourself spend your energy wisely and renew it consistently. Over time, as you get better at renewing your sources of energy, you will increase your capacity to perform at higher and higher levels. Just like starting a new workout routine, what began as very difficult, even impossible, becomes easier and easier the more you practice. After completing this exercise, if you find you're not very good at renewing your sources of energy, use goal-free zones to renew your energy and refill your tank. It's pretty simple. Rich, happy people use goal-free zones. If you don't, your ability to succeed at higher levels will be very restricted. Exercise, managing your sources of energy. Physical energy, quantity. Column A, how I'm spending my. Column B, how I'm renewing my. Emotional energy, quantity. Mental energy, focus. Spiritual energy, purpose. Goal replacement surgery. Are your goals really yours? Tim Taylor was a multi-millionaire real estate investor who had set a goal to retire by age 40. He beat his goal by a year and retired at age 39. He moved to Florida and decided to spend a year relaxing on the world's greatest beaches. He began his vacation and had the time of his life for 47 days. On the 47th day, he was sitting on the beach in Cancun, Mexico, thinking about life, and he found himself wondering, I have achieved the American dream. I'm rich, successful, and retired at age 39, so why do I feel empty? He canceled the rest of his trips and went on a search for meaning in his life. A friend told Tim to attend one of my seminars. After taking my course and completing the steps, Tim realized that even though he had made millions in real estate, he now wanted to do something else with his life. He wanted to be a real estate success coach, to share his knowledge to help others achieve their dreams. Does Tim's story resonate with you? Do you want to do something with your life, but you're not quite sure what it is or how to get there? Or maybe you've been going after something that you don't really want anymore. Or maybe you just need to understand why you're going after what you've been going after. You may need to perform goal replacement surgery. Performing goal replacement surgery. What is goal replacement surgery? When I discovered success anorexia, I realized that one of the hidden reasons so many people have their foot on the brake is that they're going after something they don't want anymore. Or they're going after goals that aren't theirs. Or they're going after goals that somebody told them they had to do, and inside they don't want to do it. Whatever the reason, their inner or outer circumstances have changed, but they're still on the treadmill, running after something they don't really want anymore. That's why sometimes we have to perform goal replacement surgery. 3 kinds of goals require goal replacement surgery. 1. Impossible goals. 2. Someone else's goals. 3. Goals you don't really want anymore. Impossible goals. What is an impossible goal? An impossible goal is just what it sounds like, a goal that can't be done. An example of an impossible goal might be to make everyone happy. You cannot make everyone happy. In fact, you can't technically make anyone happy. If you can influence people's happiness, but you can't make anyone else happy. How about this one? I have to be perfect and never make a mistake. Yeah, that's the key to success, alright. Notice how perfect all the rich, happy people are. Are you getting the humor here? How about this impossible goal? I have to sell 100% of my prospects. Come on. I don't care if you're handing out $20 bills. There are people who wouldn't take what you're offering. I wouldn't recommend this unless, of course, you come over to my house. Now you may say, but I don't have any of those impossible goals, Noah. Fine. Just realize that none of these impossible goals are conscious. No one wakes up in the morning and says, I have to make everyone happy today. If I don't sell 100% of my prospects, I'm not good enough. I have to be perfect today. No one does this consciously. Impossible goals are not conscious. That is the very point. The reason we beat ourselves up for not reaching these impossible goals is because they lie in our subconscious mind, and that's what we're unknowingly reacting to. That's why the purpose of goal replacement surgery is to make that which has been subconscious conscious, so you can examine your hidden, no longer valid goals, and if need be, let them go. Just like actual surgery on your physical body, you can't actually see what's going on inside of you, but if you're having a heart attack, might it not be a good idea to get in there and fix the problem? Someone else's outdated goals. The next set of incorrect goals is someone else's goals. For example, the guy who became a dentist because his father was a dentist and his grandfather was a dentist, and he was expected to be a dentist, but he really wants to be an engineer, or a clothing designer, or an astronaut, whatever it is. Have you ingested goals from someone else that you don't really want? The third set of goals that require goal replacement surgery is outdated goals you don't really want anymore. Are you going after something you told yourself you had to do? For example, let's say you set a goal for yourself and you haven't achieved it yet. That's very common, but the question is, do you still really want this goal, or have you just held on to it so long you think you should still want it? What Tim did. After I taught him goal replacement surgery, Tim realized that he had been telling himself that he had to go back and build up his real estate investment company again, which he figured would take another 3 years and about $3 million. Once he did this step, which took him about 10 minutes, he asked himself, wait a minute, why do I have to do that? Who's telling me that? Who made up that rule? He realized that he was the only one who was saying he had to do it. Then he asked himself, why do I need to waste all that time, money, and effort doing something I don't even want to do, when I can just start being a real estate success coach like I really want to be? He realized that the truth was he was afraid. He thought that by going back to what he'd always done, he wouldn't feel afraid anymore. But that was just fear holding him back from what he really wanted in the first place. Once he realized what he had been telling himself and the fact that it wasn't true, he faced his fear head on. In 40 days, he packed everything he had, sold his business, moved from Florida to San Diego, and launched his real estate coaching company. Tim told me, Noah, what you taught me in 10 minutes saved me $3 million in 3 years of my life. And in less than 180 days, I made more than $500,000 doing what I love. Maybe you won't make a cool $500,000 or save $3 million right away like Tim did. But if doing this step helps you make an additional $1,000 or even $500 a month, wouldn't that be a good return on your investment? This is what can happen when you do the steps I'm showing you. You might say, Noah, I don't have any impossible goals, and I'm not going after something I don't want. Great! If that's true, then simply skip this step. Most of the people I've worked with, however, have at least one goal they've been unknowingly going after that needs to be replaced. Exercise. Perform goal replacement surgery. What are my current goals that need to be replaced? Why do I have to do them, and who told me I had to? 3. Why are they impossible goals? Someone else's goals, or goals I don't really want anymore? What principles do I choose to live by? 5. Why? 6. What actions can I do to replace my false goals with my true principles? I want to direct your attention to question 4. What principles do I choose to live by? Notice that I didn't ask you what your goals are. For this exercise, it doesn't matter what your goals are. I want to know what principles you choose to live by. Why? Because that's what's going to tell me who you really are and whether or not you'll reach your goals. In his seminal book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey writes about the nature of principles. He talks about the principles of fairness, integrity, honesty, human dignity, service, excellence, potential, and growth. Principles are not processes. They are the fundamental guidelines for human conduct. He writes, principles are essentially unarguable because they are self-evident. One way to quickly grasp the self-evident nature of principles is to simply consider the absurdity of attempting to live an effective life based on their opposites. I don't think anybody would seriously consider unfairness, deceit, uselessness, mediocrity, or degeneration to be a solid foundation for lasting happiness. What principles do you choose to live by? That's what I want to know about you. It doesn't really matter what your goals are. If you're saying, my goal is to be a millionaire, but the principles you are living by are unfairness, laziness, and mediocrity, the odds of you accomplishing your goal are approximately that of a camel's chance in a supernova. Once you have answered the question of what principles you choose to live by, you need to know why you're choosing that. That's question 5. Why? Because you're an adult. Nobody can tell you what to do or why. You make those decisions for yourself. As an adult, it's time to move from no choice to choice. So answer the question for yourself. Your actions reveal your principles. The final question for performing goal replacement surgery is, what actions can I do to replace my false goals with my true principles? How are you going to demonstrate your true principles? You can say that you live by honesty, integrity, service, quality, and excellence, but then sit around eating potato chips, watching TV, worrying all the time, and telling yourself that you can't do it. I'm not trying to pick on you. I'm trying to show you that you need to stop beating yourself up. Stop beating your body up and start showing the world that you live by these principles you say you do. What if, by doing these steps, you can save a year of your life? What about 6 months? How about a month? The point is, you can't get those days back, since time is the one human resource that can never be replaced. Isn't it worth the 10 or 20 minutes to have the opportunity to possibly save years of your life, and who knows how much money? This is one of the steps that rich, happy people have already done, whether they know it or not. They're not perfect, but they're almost always going after what they really want, not what someone else thinks they should want. That's where I want you to be too. A quick recap. 1. We've been inundated with set your goals information over the past 50 years. Yet many people remain stuck, either because they feel guilt tripped every time they stop, or they're going after goals they don't really want. 2. To dramatically increase your productivity, use goal-free zones, which are times in your day when you give yourself permission to take a break from goal-related activities. Superstar athletes and business high achievers understand the importance of relaxing, renewing, and recharging. 3. Don't feel guilty when you take a goal-free zone, but don't stress about it either. Allow yourself a 10 to 15 minute break every 90 minutes. Scientific studies have shown that the human organism functions best when breaks are taken every 90 minutes. 4. Goal replacement surgery means asking the question, are my goals really mine? Many people are going after goals that they either don't want anymore or weren't theirs to begin with. 5. If you identify impossible goals, someone else's goals, or outdated goals that you've been going after, simply release them and give yourself permission to go after what you really want. Next, actions. List 3 things you can do from this chapter in the next 7 days to use goal-free zones and perform goal replacement surgery in your life and business. 1, 2, 3. Top 10 affirmations for step 4. 1. Why do I love using goal-free zones? 2. Why do I have permission to unplug? 3. Why am I allowed to relax and renew every day? 4. Why do I take responsibility for renewing my energy? 5. Why do I get support in renewing my energy? 6. Why do I love going after what I really want? 7. Why do I have permission to be who I really am? 8. Why am I allowed to be, do, and have what I really want in life? 9. Why do I take full responsibility for living my dreams? 10. Why am I allowed to be who I really am and succeed? Chapter 8. Step 5. Who are you trying to protect, punish, or please? Heat not a furnace for your foe so hot that it do singe yourself. William Shakespeare. Barbara had spent tens of thousands of dollars in years of her life trying to become more successful. She was smart, funny, motivated, and was now working in a direct selling company that gave great how-to training programs. Having worked for nearly 10 years as an on-air personality, she certainly wasn't shy about talking with people. Yet for some reason, she simply couldn't reach the level of success she knew she was capable of. Who are you trying to protect? Perhaps the most hidden, subconscious reason we hold ourselves back from success is that we are unknowingly trying to protect someone else from our own success. I know that this is one of the strangest sentences in this book. Nevertheless, this phenomenon affects millions of men and women, nearly all of them without their conscious awareness. For example, when I asked Barbara this question, who are you trying to protect from you being more successful? It dawned on her that she was holding herself back from success to protect her husband. She realized for the first time that she was afraid that if she became the truly successful person that she knew she could be, his ego might be bruised. And what if he didn't love her anymore? What if he left her? See how all those hidden fears added up to one whopper of a why not to? Naturally, as Barbara was unknowingly holding herself back, she had no idea why she was doing it. That's why trying to protect someone from your success is one of the toughest why not to's to spot. Barbara's fears went something like this. What if I succeed and my husband's jealous of me? What if he doesn't appreciate what I do? What if I become too successful and he leaves me? Again, she didn't know she was thinking these thoughts. She hadn't recognized her own head trash. Yet there it was, holding her back from success in an attempt to protect her husband, and in the end, protect herself from the pain of abandonment. Exercise. Who are you trying to protect? Left column. Who am I trying to protect? Middle column. Why? Far right column. How it's helped me. Look at the 3 columns above. First, who am I trying to protect? In Barbara's example, I'm trying to protect my husband from my being more successful than he is. The second column is simply why. Why are you doing that? Barbara's answer, because I'm afraid he'll be jealous of me and leave me if I'm more successful than him. Finally, list how trying to protect that person has helped you. Barbara's answer sounded something like this. I don't have to fear my husband's being jealous of me if I'm not successful. If I don't succeed, then what does he have to be jealous of? So I'll keep myself down so that I protect myself and him. I know that seems totally counterintuitive and not logical, but just like Mr. Spock pointed out in Star Trek, what made you think humans are logical? You may also be trying to protect your family from success. The subconscious thinking goes something like this. Noah, what if I'm too successful and I have to be away from my kids? What if I start to succeed really big and I have to be on the road all the time? I could miss my kids' soccer games, ballet recitals, and ultimately miss my children growing up. I could understand why you would feel that way. And when you put it that way, doesn't it make perfect sense why you'd hold yourself back? So how has holding yourself back helped you? The answer, if you're not too successful, you can be there for your family all the time. Look, I'm not telling you what success is. I'm not saying that if you're not a millionaire, then you're not successful. That's none of my business, and it's nobody else's business either. That's your choice. I don't care what kind of car you drive, where you live, how big your house is, or how much money you make. I mean that in a very loving way. My point is, I want you to be the one deciding, not your negative reflection. Once you have your foot off the brake and you're driving in a direction you really want to go, that's when you have permission to be and do whatever you, not your head trash, choose. That's a massive, fundamental distinction that you can now make for yourself. Who are you trying to punish? Now this is weird. Why would we try to punish someone by holding ourselves back from success? Let me give you an example. Back in my 20s when I was living in Hollywood, I remember one day realizing that I was angry with my parents for not supporting me in the way I thought they should have. On that day, I also realized that I had spent years unwittingly trying to punish them. To help you understand this, here's how the logic went in my head. I'm mad at my parents because they didn't do what I wanted them to do, so I'm going to punish them by not succeeding, so they can point to me and say what a good job they did as parents. Ha! I'll show them. What benefit did I get from this? Simple. I got to hold on to my anger and never step out of my familiar zone. In case you are wondering whether I was happy, successful person in those days, yeah, right. I want you to write this sentence in big letters and put it on your desk. The power of I'll show you. Never underestimate the power of I'll show you. Those 3 little words have driven more people to fail than anything else in the world. Ironically, those same 3 little words have also driven more people to succeed than anything else in the world. Why? Because they said I couldn't do it. Oh yeah, I'll show you. For instance, Mary Kay Ash was told by nearly everyone that she couldn't do it. As a woman in 1963, wanting to open a cosmetics company, her accountant and her attorney told her she was nuts. People around her told her she'd lose everything. To top it all off, just days before the company's opening, her husband died suddenly and unexpectedly. However, Mary Kay was driven by three powerful words: I'll show you. With her company today bringing in more than $5 billion in revenue, I think she showed them. You can think of dozens of successful people that this phrase has driven to succeed when everyone else said it couldn't be done. When somebody says, you'll never be able to do that, it can either discourage you or drive you to succeed. Maybe people laughed at you when you sat down to play the piano, or hit a baseball, or start your own business. And maybe that gave you the attitude of, I'll show you. Now you can use the power of I'll show you to your advantage. Don't use it to beat yourself up or hold yourself back. Use it to let yourself succeed. Never underestimate the power of I'll show you. Exercise. Who are you trying to punish? Column to the left. Who I'm trying to punish. Middle column. Why? Right column. How it's hurt them. Who are you trying to please? Now let's look at the third subconscious reason people hold themselves back. The subconscious need to please others by either succeeding or not succeeding. This is the only question for which you can either succeed or not succeed by trying to please others. With the other two questions, you're trying to protect or punish yourself or others by stopping yourself from success. With this question, however, you may be trying to please others by either succeeding or not letting yourself succeed. For example, many of my students who became very rich but very unhappy told me that they worked very hard to succeed so they could get approval from someone else, usually a parent. On the other hand, other students have stopped themselves from succeeding to try to please someone else. The real question in either case is, what are you really afraid of? If you're really honest with yourself, you might find that you're really afraid of disapproval from others or of not looking good to the outside world. People can say whatever they want, and they usually do. The question is, why do you let that affect you? It is because you're afraid of someone's disapproval. If you're blaming others by saying, so and so did this to me, then you're being a victim and have no power to change, and that's not acceptable. You have that power, and it's time to claim it. Exercise. Who are you trying to please? Who I'm trying to please in the left column, in the middle column, why, the right column, what I'm really afraid of. How to release any fear. Do you know what fear really is? Fear is not false evidence appearing real. Fear is an emotion caused by the expectation of pain. I know you were expecting me to say that old cliche. The fact is, some clever speaker came up with that acronym years ago, and it's become so popular that people think it's true. But that's not what fear is. Fear is a very real human emotion that occurs when you anticipate or expect that something may hurt you. If you fear something, you are saying to you, hey, what if I get hurt by this? Ironically, the emotion of fear is there to protect you, but it can also hold you back from growing. We experience the feeling of fear when we perceive that we're not in control. Fear is the emotional effect of absence of personal control over your situation. Therefore, there is an inverse relationship between control and fear. The more control we have over our situation, the less fear we feel. If we really want to conquer fear, we need a tool that enables us to gain, maintain, and protect our personal control. That's another reason we invented the Freedom Power Pack, because it gives you 3 personal control strategies. A maintenance strategies to maintain control. 2. Enhancement strategies to improve control. And 3. Contingent strategies to regain control if we lose it. You can learn more about how to get your own Freedom Power Pack in the additional resources section at the back of this book. How can you release fear? One great way to overcome fear is to accept the pain that you might feel as a result of your actions. So what if that person disapproves of you? Are you going to die? As far as we know, no one has ever died from disapproval. Sure, you might feel some pain when someone disapproves of you. Big deal. Newsflash. You're already in pain anyway, so you might as well go ahead and try whatever you're afraid of. You might just find all the words of Ralph Waldo Emerson were eminently true. Inside of us, we all know that on the other side of fear lies freedom. A quick recap. 1. Many people are unknowingly holding themselves back from success because they're trying to protect, punish, or please someone else. 2. To stop doing this, first ask yourself, who am I trying to protect by being less than I am? 3. Then ask yourself, who am I trying to punish by holding myself back from success? 4. Finally ask yourself, who am I trying to please by succeeding or not succeeding? 5. Stop trying to protect, punish, or please others with your success by realizing the payoff you've received from your behavior, and then give yourself permission to be as successful as you like. Next actions. List 3 things you can do in the next 7 days to stop trying to protect, punish, or please others regarding your success. 1, 2, 3. List them. Top 10 affirmations for step 5. Why did I stop protecting others for my success? 2. Why did I stop punishing others by not succeeding? 3. Why did I stop trying to please others? Why did I stop trying to please people by not succeeding? 4. Why did I stop trying to please people by holding myself back? 5. Why am I allowed to be, do, and have exactly what I want on earth? 6. Why am I so happy? 7. Why do I no longer fear being truly happy and really rich? 8. Why do I give myself permission to be as successful as I really want? 9. Why do I love being the truly successful person I've always wanted to be? 10. Why am I good enough just the way I am? Chapter 9, Step 6. Find your no. There are many roads to success, but only one sure road to failure, and that is to try to please everyone else. Benjamin Franklin. Do you ever feel guilty saying no to others? When people make requests of you, do you treat the requests like orders to be obeyed? Many people have lost their no, their ability to say no and not feel guilty for it. We are socialized to be nice and make accommodations for others. This is correct, because society wouldn't function very well if people just did whatever they wanted all the time. However, some people have gone overboard and simply can't say no. 3%ers, on the other hand, understand the importance of sticking to your agenda when other people's agendas diverge from your own. Happy, successful people have learned how to disagree without being disagreeable. When you can say no with a smile, you will have mastered one of the most important steps of the secret code of success. Find your no. We're now at step 6, which is find your no. Because so many people have lost their no, it's essential to find it again. Now I could just say to you, okay, it's important to say no, got it? But it's much more complex than that. Traditional success teachers may have talked about the importance of saying no, but they haven't shown us how to do it. In working with tens of thousands of students at my seminars and mentorship programs, I've realized that saying no is not as easy as it sounds. If it were, there wouldn't be so many doormats or people pleasers out there. After working with thousands of people who had lost their no, I realized that there are 3 distinct aspects to find your no that you must master if you want to stop being a people pleaser and start living the life you were meant to. You must find your personal no, find your interpersonal no, and find your global no. Let's go through each of them in order. Find your personal no. While we know that many people have trouble saying no to others, has it ever occurred to you that you may have trouble saying no to yourself? In an earlier chapter, we talked about the fact that the only 3 resources we have on earth are time, energy, and money. Well, what if you're doing things that waste your precious human resources? Are you going to get where you want to go? Maybe, but it sure will take longer than it has to. To find your personal no, you examine the activities you're doing and determine which ones are draining your time, money, or energy that you've allowed to continue. We looked at your activity systems in step 3, but have you actually installed this system properly yet? Exercise. Find your personal no. 1. Time, money, or energy draining activities I'm doing. Examples: procrastinating, smoking, worrying, overeating, etc. 2. Why am I doing them and what it's costing me? 3. Better uses of my resources of time, money, and energy. 4. Actions I can take to reallocate my resources to get what I really want. Be honest. Are you procrastinating, smoking, overeating, undereating, binge spending, spending too much time on the internet or on email? When I ask people in my seminars how many have a problem with procrastinating, about 80% of the hands go up. Why do we procrastinate, and why is it so costly to your success? Procrastination is, plain and simple, caused by fear. The fear of what? It depends. You might be afraid of not getting what you want, and you may be afraid of getting what you want. Once you've listed what you're doing that's draining your time, money, or energy, I want you to take a close look and ask yourself, why am I doing these things, and what is it costing me? For example, why do you procrastinate? The only answer is fear. But fear of what? Do you have a fear of disapproval? Fear of failure? Fear of success? Do you have a fear of people not liking you? A fear of rejection? Do you find yourself asking, what if this doesn't work out? Or even, what if I become too successful? Throughout this book, I've shown you that we stop ourselves from success because we're afraid to get out of our familiar zone. There's nothing wrong with being afraid, but you do need to ask yourself the next part of the question. What is that costing me? To say that it's costing you hundreds of thousands of dollars is probably very realistic. If you don't value your own time, money, or energy, the cost over your lifetime may be staggering. What if you smoke? I smoke because I'm addicted to it. If that's the case, what's causing the addiction? And what is that costing you? Maybe you're addicted to caffeine or chocolate. I want you to get very honest with yourself. I'm not saying that you can't enjoy a cup of coffee or a bar of chocolate. I am saying, however, that many people are a mocha frappa latte chino a day away from being a millionaire. Each of these silly drinks costs like $5. Do you really need that? If you really want to gain leverage on yourself, add up how much you spend on coffee or eating out or binge spending over the course of a year, 5 years, 10 years. I'm not trying to tell you how to live your life. I'm just inviting you to ask yourself, is this activity a money helper or a money drainer? An energy helper or energy drainer? A time helper or time drainer? The next question is, what are better uses of my resources of time, money, and energy? Ask yourself, can I take that money that I'm spending on my $5 a day, $25 a week, $1,300 a year drink, and do something more productive with it? The fact is, you know what you need to do. You just don't want to admit that you know. You might think, that's nothing, Noah, but you could pay off a credit card with that kind of money. You can make an extra payment on your mortgage. You have the resources you have. The question is, how can you use them better? What are better uses of your resources of time, money, and energy? Everyone says, I'll do blank when I have more time, money, and energy. But you're not even using what you have now correctly. Using what you have correctly. You have X money, X time, X energy, and you're sitting around wishing you had Y and Z. But how are you supposed to get Y and Z when you're not even taking care of X? Whether or not you believe it, you are the one who decides where, how, and why your money is spent. Money doesn't walk around and say, hey, I think I'll spend myself over here. You are the one taking out that credit card. You're the one taking out that cash. Money can't think for itself. You're the thinker. So let's start thinking and then start acting properly. That's where we go with the next question. What actions can I take to reallocate my resources to get what I really want? Notice that I'm not telling you to make $1 million and then you'll be rich and happy. No, it doesn't happen that way. I know this is going to be one of the most obvious things that I could say because frankly, when I first heard this truth, it was so stupidly obvious that I completely missed it. But here it is anyway. Rich people are great at managing their money. I know that's a massive duh, but sometimes what's obvious is what we miss. When I first heard that, I was like, yeah, whatever. Then I said, wait, time out. Look at that statement, Noah. You're not doing the things that multimillionaires do. So how do you expect to become one of them? Then I realized you're telling yourself that you're a victim here and that you don't have any choice. But you do have a choice. I need to learn to manage my money like rich people do. That's when I started hanging out with mega rich people who were also happy and fun, and my whole view of money and how to manage it began to change. I'm not going to get into money management. That's not what this course is about. Plenty of people talk about money management, and I recommend that you do your homework on that topic. My point is that you need to understand that you are in charge of your money. Money is not running you. You are the one who signs the check. You take out the credit card. It can't leap out of your wallet on its own. These are your actions, and your beliefs lead to those actions. Reallocating your resources. So when you look at the question above, what actions can I take to reallocate my resources of time, money, and energy? List what you can do differently that rich, happy people are doing to manage their resources? If you don't know the answer to that, start hanging out with rich, happy people and see for yourself what they do. No matter how bad things seem to be, you can always find someone in your community or your network who is doing well. Connect with her and say, Mary, I've noticed that you're really good with money, and I really admire you. I want to make some changes in my life, and I was wondering if I could ask for your advice. Could you sit down with me and look at my budget? I don't know where all my money is going. Can you help me? What's the worst thing Mary can say? Right? No. And then you're no worse off than you were before. But if you ask from a place of genuine acknowledgement, remember your first two A's of your people system, Mary just might say yes. Do you see how all the steps of this system work together? That's why this is a system and not a bunch of ideas just thrown together. Remember, the 3%ers are doing this, whether or not they know it. And if you're looking for a more advanced productivity tool to help you leverage all of your available resources to achieve better results, see the new Freedom Power Pack in the additional resources section at the back of this book. Now let's go to the next aspect of Find Your No. Find your interpersonal no. The first step was a no from you to you. Now you're saying no to others. This is where you will find your interpersonal no. When people make demands of you that you simply can't or don't want to do, you have the power to say no. One thing I've taught thousands of people in my seminars is to use the 3-step detect, deflect, and reflect method to find your interpersonal no. Exercise. Find your interpersonal no. Left side of the paper, detect. I see the demand. Middle of the paper, deflect. I ask what's behind it. The right side of the paper, reflect. I synergize. I broke this step down into its essential components because I used to be a doormat. A people-pleasing, nice guy with very low self-esteem. And since I had no self-esteem, I tried to get everyone to like me. Problem was, as good old Ben Franklin said, there are many roads to success, but only one sure road to failure, and that is to try to please everyone else. Since that was what I was doing, I was on the sure road to failure. Come to think of it, I had pretty much arrived. In creating the secret code of success, I realized, wait a minute, if you look at rich, happy people, they don't have a problem saying no. Imagine how many people are asking Bill Gates for something every day. The richer and more successful you get, the more demands are placed upon you. So you can't be truly happy and rich without being able to say no. At that point in my life, I wasn't even aware of all the ways I was saying yes when I really wanted to say no. That's when I realized the first step to say no to others is to simply become aware that someone is asking you to do something and that you can either say no or yes to that request. I'm sure that sounds ridiculously obvious to those of you who don't have a problem saying no. For the rest of us, it may be the biggest awareness of our lives. Like Pavlov's dog, when someone asked me to do something, I would just do it without thinking. They ask, I do. They ask, I do. There were no thoughts behind my actions. It was a reaction rather than a response. Detect, becoming aware. So the first step is to detect. Hey, someone is asking me to do something here. The next step is to deflect. What does that mean? The basic idea is to break down the request into exactly what they want. What are they asking me to do? Picture somebody standing in front of you asking you to do something. Now that you can detect it, you can see the request coming at you, kind of like an arrow. Then you deflect that arrow. So imagine that arrow making a U-turn. It doesn't hit you, but it turns around right in front of you and goes back to them. Deflect the arrow. You can deflect by asking that person, "What exactly do you mean by that? Tell me more about that. Why do you want that? Help me understand what you're looking for." You become like Detective Columbo, the TV character who solved every mystery by asking lots of dumb questions that other people were too cool to ask. Now you can be uncool and ask the questions that no one else is asking. I make a great living asking dumb questions. Once you've turned that arrow around in the deflect step, the final step in the trilogy is to reflect. That's when you send the arrow right back to them and synergize. You get beneath their request and find what's really going on. You might say, "I would love to do what you're asking, but I'm not going to be able to give it the attention that it deserves. So I'm going to have to decline right now. However, I do know someone who may be able to help you." The synergy step. When you say no, when you mean no, you're actually doing that other person a favor, because you not only protected your time, you also protected your relationship. Have you ever said yes when you meant no and ended up resenting the other person? You're nodding your head, aren't you? When you say no in a way that protects the other person's pride, but also protects your time, you also protect the relationship. You can't even be as blatantly obvious as that. Bob, if I say yes to you, I'm going to end up resenting you, and our relationship is far too important for that. That's why I'm going to have to say no. If your time is the most valuable commodity you have, shouldn't you protect it with your life? Remember that committee you really didn't want to be on, or that event you agreed to go to that you really didn't want to attend? You're nodding again, aren't you? Of course, there are many times in life when you simply can't say no. For example, to your boss, or when you're expecting to do things on your job. The point, however, is when you find your no, you might also find that you can begin the transition from doing things that empty your tank to more of the things that fill your tank. The essential point here is that if you don't value your time, nobody else will. Have you ever noticed that there are certain people in your life whom you have learned not to ask for things because they almost always say no? They found their no big time. You can learn a lot from someone like this. I'm not suggesting you should become a selfish jerk, but the fact remains you can learn a lot from a jerk. 10 key phrases for finding your interpersonal no. The 3%ers understand the importance of saying no even when other people are demanding a yes. Often, simply having the correct phrases at your fingertips can help, because then you don't have to make something up on the spot. Use these key phrases as a starting point for finding your interpersonal no. I'd love to help, but I'm cutting back on the time I spend in that area. 2. How about we talk about this next year? 3. I like to schedule in those types of requests several days ahead. Can you make that work for you? 4. I can hear the urgency about this, but I'm just not set up to respond to emergencies. 5. That sounds like so much fun, but it's not just for me. 6. Why are you pushing me so hard? 7. I understand there are consequences when I say no to this, but I'm willing to live with those consequences. 8. You've been so good to me, but I need to say no to this. Is there something else I can do? 9. That's just the sort of thing I can respond to in this lifetime. 10. I would love to chat, but this is part of my business day and I'm focused on earning money. How about tonight? The ability to disagree without being disagreeable is a learned skill that's simple on the far side of complexity. It would be simplistic to say, just say no. That's simple on the near side of complexity. Whereas simple on the far side of complexity means to take these steps, yet keep it simple. I broke it down for you so you can realize, wow, I didn't even realize how much I was saying yes when I meant no. Now I can take the steps to find my no with myself and others too. Which brings us to the final aspect of Find Your No. Find your global no. Okay, we've covered your personal no and your interpersonal no. Now it's time to find your global no. Your global no means you know your purpose on earth and you commit to stay on track, even when it's easy and tempting to get off track. When you know your ultimate yes, your purpose or mission, which we'll cover in the next final step, it's much easier to say no to what's not truly important and what doesn't fit in with your mission. Your global no deals with one fundamental issue, that of integrity. Acting with integrity. When you act with integrity, you are who you say you are, and you simply don't deviate from that. The problem is, in our modern society, it's very easy to deviate and try to take shortcuts. Does the word Enron mean anything to you? You can open up any newspaper and see stories about how people and companies try to take shortcuts in the name of making more profits. The point, however, is that people run companies. Companies don't run themselves. There are always shortcuts. There are always things that will make you think, I could do this and somebody will, and nobody will find out. The funny thing is, sooner or later, the hens come home to roost. If you deviate from integrity, someone will find out eventually. Believe me, I'm speaking from painful experience. Saying no, no, no's. When I worked as a temp in Los Angeles, they sent me on assignments as a secretary for big movie studios. Because I didn't have much money, I would often take things like office supplies, pens, and the like. Basically, whatever fit in my duffel bag was fair game. I figured, hey, these guys are rich and I'm broke. Who's going to miss it? And I deserve to take this because I'm working so hard for so little. I actually convinced myself that I deserved this stuff I wasn't paying for. But then a funny thing started to happen over and over. The pattern was always the same. My bosses would love me because I was such a good worker. They would try to get me hired as a full-time employee, but time after time, something would happen and I'd never get the job. Someone else with fewer qualifications would get the job, and I'd be back out there shuffling from one temp job to another. I can remember one time I worked in a particular office for nearly 6 months. That's a long temp assignment. I became friends with the people in the department, and they said, you're definitely going to get this job. Naturally, when the time came to make it a permanent position, they gave it to someone else. After many, many experiences like this, I started to wonder what the hell was going on. How come, if I'm so good, I asked myself, I never get the job? About this time, I started my studies of universal law and how your thoughts create your life. I had never realized how my thoughts, beliefs, and actions were creating my life. I thought I was a victim and that God just had it in for me. One day I realized by stealing little things, I was telling God, I don't have money, so I have to steal from others. My actions were saying, I don't have, and God reflected back, okay, you don't have. As I was taking from others, so I was taken from. Coming from, I have. The next day the phone rang. My temp service offering me a new position at the most prestigious movie studio in town. I showed up and they showed me to my cubicle and desk. Then my boss showed me to the Holy Land, the office supply cabinet. But this was no ordinary office supply cabinet. When the doors opened, I actually heard angels singing. Approximately the size of Montana, it was filled with every office supply you could think of. I think it was actually the original Staples location. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating a little, but you get the idea. The point is, she literally said, and I swear I'm not making this up, help yourself to whatever you need. Whatever I need, I'm going to need a bigger duffel bag. As I stood there salivating, I remembered what I had finally realized. If you keep coming from I don't have, you're going to keep not having. Is that what you really want for your life, Noah? As my boss walked away, leaving me before the gates of office supply heaven, my hands shaking, slowly shut the doors, and I never took anything from that office supply cabinet, not even a paper clip. Now you might think this is a pretty silly story and a nutty example of how not to live your life. But after that incident, I began for the first time to really ask what I wanted to do with my life. And I realized that I wanted to teach people and write books, even though I had no idea what to talk about. 5 years later, I discovered Success Anorexia, and that led to the work I'm doing now, helping countless thousands of people through seminars and mentorship programs. The point is, if I had stayed with my old thinking and behavior of I don't have, do you think any of what I'm doing now would have happened? Me neither. So be careful what you say and do, because that will become your very life. Exercise. Finding your global no. 1. What are my why-tos of acting with integrity? 2. What will I gain if I act with integrity and purpose? 3. What will I lose if I act with integrity and purpose? 4. People I admire and why, their aspects of character I'd like to adopt. In the exercise above, I've given you 4 simple questions to find your global no. First, what are my why-tos of acting with integrity? Why do you want to do this? Understand, living from your global no means you're not going to steal or lie. You're going to act with integrity, and you're going to stand your ground, even if it's unpopular. Why would you want to do that? You need to figure it out. Question 2. What will I gain if I act with integrity and purpose? You won't do it if you don't gain from it, right? Therefore, what are you going to gain? The clearer you are on what you gain, the easier it will be to act. Question 3. What will I lose if I act with integrity and purpose? Did you realize that if you act with integrity and purpose, you will lose something? For example, you'll lose the ability to steal from people, to rip people off, and to lie to them. Bummer, huh? That's why I'm very careful about what I say. My words means a lot to me, and the people around me know that my word means a lot. I don't make a lot of promises, but when I do make a promise, it's going to happen. Usually before I say it will. Unsuccessful, unhappy people do the reverse. They make tons of promises with lots of talk and no action. How's that working out? The integrity question. You have to communicate your intentions of integrity to your team. You have to talk the walk as well as walk the talk. For example, I recently had a production meeting with my team, and I communicated my vision both verbally and in writing to them. I told them, this is where we're going, and we're here to change the world. Are you with me or not? Let's go. My enthusiasm rubbed off, and they became excited about it too. So they said, let's do it. My team got it because I was very clear in saying, I'm doing this. I'd love to do it with you guys, but if you're not on board, tell me now, because I only want to work with people who are with me 100%. I wanted to be absolutely sure that every person on my team was on board with my vision. Guess what? They all signed up. On a scale of 1 to 10, all talk and no action would be like someone who is an 8 with talk and a 2 with action. Don't be that person. Be an 8 with talk and a 10 with action. You do need to communicate your vision in words, but you also need action to back it up. Finally, list people you admire and why. List their aspects of character that you would like to adopt. What would Stephen Covey do? What would Jack Canfield do? That's what I often ask myself. In your business, look at who you admire and ask, what would this person who I respect do? You might ask, what would my leader do? What would my upline do? Look at the people you respect and admire and ask, what would they do? This is how you can begin to think like them. Choose your mentors wisely, because you become who you follow. A quick recap. 1. One of the most important things you can do to get your foot off the brake is find your no. That's because highly successful, happy people have given themselves permission to say no when they mean no. 2. The 3 aspects to find your no are: find your personal no, find your interpersonal no, and find your global no. 3. Find your personal no means saying no to yourself. Unsuccessful, unhappy people have a hard time saying no to things they know aren't good for them or don't produce the results they want. Identify the actions you're doing that are taking you away from what you really want. Then become accountable to others to stop doing them. 4. Find your interpersonal no means saying no to others. Rich, happy people know how to say no when other people's demands don't fit into their own vision for success. Learn to say no with a smile. 5. Find your global no means your integrity. The things you are not willing to do that would compromise your principles. When you come from I don't have, the universe has no choice but to reflect back. Okay, you don't have. Instead, come from I have, and God will respond with a life of true abundance. Next, actions. List 3 things you can do from this chapter in the next 7 days to find your no for greater peace of mind and satisfaction in your life and business. 1, 2, 3. List them, write them. Top 10 affirmations for step 6. Why is it easy for me to say no when I mean no? 2. Why do I love saying no with a smile? 3. Why do I enjoy synergizing? 4. Why do I love finding better solutions for myself and others? 5. Why do people look at me as a leader? 6. Why am I comfortable in my own skin? 7. Why do I have all that I need? 8. Why do I have more than enough to be all that I want? 9. Why am I so confident? 10. Why am I enough?